Hey, what's up guys? It is your girl, Coach Leanne, down here at AM Fitness in Plainville. Today I am going to be bringing you another mobility exercise to actually help you work on your hip mobility. So this is kind of a variation of something that we often do in our warm-ups. So I'm bringing you just kind of an alternative for it, and I'll explain to you why in a second. So what we're going to do is a hip flexor stretch. So we're going to come down into our same half kneeling position that we're always in. We've got our hip underneath our knee. We've got our knee out in front of us, helping us stabilize. Knee should really be on top of the ankle. We've got the back foot, toe tucked into the ground. So reason that we have that toe in the ground is to allow us more activation in our glutes. So when we have that toe tucked in, we can squeeze our butt a little bit better. And so especially for this exercise, we really need to have that key component. So from here, what we're gonna do, normally the hip flexor stretch that we do in class, we actually push our hips forward. We're gonna avoid that in this particular exercise. So what we're gonna do instead, we're gonna use that hip tuck that we use so often. We're gonna squeeze our butt as hard as we can. We're gonna kind of tuck the hips underneath. So then from here, we feel that big pull. We're gonna hold for 2 to 3 seconds, and we're gonna release. Then we're gonna do the same thing again. We're gonna squeeze our butt. We're gonna tuck our hips underneath and release. So we're still allowing that same reciprocal inhibition that we get with our hip flexor stretch, with anything else that we do, that when we squeeze the glute, it sends a message up to our brain that says, hey, the opposite muscle, we can take it out of tension because I have this muscle to support it. So it sends a message down and it turns off the hip flexor. So now it's not supporting us, it's not under tension, and it allows us to lengthen it. Now when we tuck our hips, that muscle is attached to the top of the hip, the pelvis. So when we tuck our hips underneath, if the muscle is attached here and I twist this way, I'm lengthening that muscle. And we'll feel it down into the quad a little bit, and that's actually fine. That's an extension of your hip muscle. That is the rectus femoris. So it's not wrong if you're feeling that piece. Now, the reason that I want to offer this modification is because when we do our typical push forward into the hip, yes, you're going to feel a hip stretch from it because we are lengthening the muscle, but we have more potential for pain and injury down the road, and I'll tell you why. Because the head of the femur that's locked into the hip, when we're jamming it forward, we're pushing it further into that anterior hip capsule. So the joint, the labrum that's holding everything into place, when we're jamming it forward, we're pushing the head of the femur further into that labrum, and we're pushing it into the psoas muscle. Now the psoas muscle is what's holding it in place. So if we're putting pressure against it and we're pushing and we're pushing and we're pushing, again, we have more potential for pain and potential injury down the road. So just an alternative for you to, pre-workout at home, anything like that, if we feel like we need a quick hip stretch, we're here, all we do, we just squeeze, tuck the hips, and then relax. So that way we've eliminated all of that pain and potential injury down the road, but we still get a good stretch out of it. So give that one a shot. If you have any questions, you can let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you at your next training session.